This is a victory for doing things a new way, and I'm excited about that.
Jeb Bush was elected the governor of Florida on November 4th, 1998, the same day that his brother George W. Bush won re-election in the great state of Texas.
Second best thing of the evening.
Good going, brother.
During his 8-year stint as Florida's chief executive, the hand of fate placed Governor Bush at the center of some of the nation's most highly charged political dramas. From 2000's epic presidential race.
Never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine it would be this close. I hope I'll never have to go through another evening like I did.
To the bitter battle over Florida resident Terry Schiavo's right to life. For Bush, doing things a new way meant ending affirmative action in Florida, instituting the first statewide school voucher program in the entire country.
We're going to give parents other options when their schools, the most important public service that we provide, don't work for their needs.
And keeping disaster response local, despite frantic calls to federalize it in the wake of Hurricane Katrina.
If you are in a mandatory evacuation area, you need to get to high ground now. This is the time. There won't be another request because it will be too late.
Governor Bush kept Florida on its feet as 10 hurricanes ravaged its shores. Even though there is no income tax in the state of Florida, he managed to cut taxes every one of his 8 years in office, $20 billion in all, and to eliminate 11,000 bureaucratic jobs. His legacy says it all. Bush was the first Republican governor in Florida's history to win re-election, and the state has not elected a Democrat to that post since the one he sent packing back in 1998.
Now, that was a window into the change that Jeb Bush brought to Florida during his 8 years behind the wheel. And we continue now with the former governor of the great state of Florida, and Jeb Bush is with us. All right, so I looked at your track record. I know we've just spent a lot of time on education. You cut taxes by $20 billion. You really define yourself as a small government conservative, right?
Yeah, I don't think there is such a thing as a big government conservative. It's kind of a contradiction in terms. Others have actually there is.
You know what I mean?
There was a time when people said that was okay. It seems to me to be contradictory.
No, yes, it is to me too. I'm a registered conservative in New York. I'm not a registered Republican because I believe in those principles, but it seems even the Republicans get away from them sometimes.
Sure, no question about it. And we were, when I was governor, which, by the way, I don't know who that guy was in that film, the skinny guy with that had brown hair. That's someone totally different than I am today.
I could show you Hannity in 1996. It's not a pretty sight.
But you know, we were, except for the downturn after September 11th, this was a boom time. So the challenge was different than it is today. And I, give credit to the governors that have to deal with these budget shortfalls today. It's tough. I'd love to do it because it would be a great way to challenge every basic assumption about how government works. We did that during difficult times. So in the time of the greatest boom in Florida's modern history, we cut back 13,000 state workers. I mean, you can do it if you adhere to principle. And so if you're a conservative, that typically means you believe in less government. It doesn't mean that. My view is, and this relates to my faith as much as my ideology, that we should put the people in the front of the line that are most deserving. Those are the disabled, the frail, the children that are abused and abandoned and neglected, and we did that. We put those folks to the front of the line, and the other things had less priority. Education being the principal thing I was most passionate about. So those priorities might be different, governor by governor, but if you're a conservative and you say you're going to be a conservative, then you ought to act like a conservative when you have a chance to do it.
I had to go, and I had to dig really deep to find any areas where conservatives disagreed with you, and I found two. One was they thought you were pushing oil companies too far out offshore. I think you wanted them 125 miles.
Yeah.
And the other was on immigration.
Yeah.
And I know you feel very strongly about conservatives, Republicans reaching out to the Hispanic community and where you stand on immigration. Those were the two only areas I can find.
There's probably others, but that one, the first one's interesting because no one ever came to me when I was governor and said, Jeb, it is really stupid to drill way offshore. It is more dangerous to drill way offshore. If you want to protect the shoreline of Florida, then allow for inshore drilling, not offshore drilling. Not a single person. It was counterintuitive at the time.
You think now you would say yes after what happened with the BP?
Now I think everybody has to give at the office, if you will, as it relates to a national energy strategy. that overcomes all the other challenges. And so my views have evolved, and we have this explosion of natural gas that has potential for us to create a real strategy that allows us to be less dependent on foreign sources of oil, and the innovation ought to be on our resources. So
Well,
it seems to me we should innovate as it relates to coal gasification and things that would make coal a more viable source of energy, because we have more coal than Saudi Arabia. Why would we?
Right.
So my views have evolved a bit on that, and as it relates to immigration, we can't grow at 4% per year unless we grow our population with young, aspiring people. So my hope is that we get beyond this control, fix the border, which we have to do. Great nations should not have a porous border, so that we can go back to our heritage, which is to create a strategy around inviting people in that have high degrees, that have entrepreneurial passions, that are hardworking, for us to be able to grow. We can improve productivity 2% per year, but we have to grow our population, and it can't be with people over my age and up. It has to be with young, aspiring people.
It bothers me when people say, like, I agree with you. I'm the product of immigration. My grandparents came here from Ireland at the turn of the last century. But it seems that I don't like the false characterization that somehow conservatives are against Hispanics because they don't support illegal immigration. And that is a narrative that I reject outright.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I think we have great possibilities if Republicans can master the tone of politics. Language matters.
Yeah, it does.
And if you send a signal, yelling and screaming and finger pointing that it's them and us, and by the way, you all are them, and you're not part of our club, it's pretty hard to get people to get all excited about joining your team, right? And I think the tone of Republican candidates
is important.
Needs to improve. If it does that, we're the party of aspiration, and people that come, the newly arrived, want an opportunity. They don't want a handout.
All right, when we come back, the audience, well, they get their chance to get in on the discussion with Governor Jeb Bush. He'll answer their questions coming up next on the special edition of Hannity.